update. I'm not sure exactly what video this will go in or anything else, but I did not video it. I did take it out around the block a couple times, and that's about it. I got under there and tidied a few things up. I did a few things in the engine compartment here, kind of with the wiring. I need to make a heat shield for the ECU because it gets fairly warm back there. But everything else seems to be a go. I got the AC up and running. I found a small leak in there yesterday, but the fitting was a little loose, so I tightened that up. Hopefully that takes care of that, but I've got enough figured out right now that I am going to move forward with getting the dash in. So right there is all the stuff that came out of the back seat that's been sitting there forever, and there is the dash and the console and under pieces and a bunch of junk. Feels really messy in here right now, but I just got to get going. So there's a little bit of cleaning in here. The carpet's always been horribly dirty in some spots, like that. My friend is really taken aback at how dirty that is, so someday I might clean it. So it looks kind of rat's nesty, but it's not. These go to one plug. This goes to the other plug of the controls for the heat and AC. This is another one. A few wires for the OBD2 port, and then the wires to hook into the dash. So I honestly don't know what this does. I don't really want to take it out of here because it might have a bunch of stuff that I need. I don't know what that might be. I suppose I could unplug and figure it out, but bottom line is I think I'm just going to leave it and run the ducts through. So right now, what I'm going to do is basically kind of get the dash in here, and then figure out how I'm going to run the ducting for the AC. Yeah. Okay, so I've taken a little break from filming, mainly because I just wanted to get this done. And secondly, there's not all that much excitement in putting a dash back in, but this dash is back in. We're working on the glove box area. I actually have run all the hoses to the dash vents, to the center dash vents, to the defrost. The floor is automatic, so I have 2 vents left, and that's not that difficult. I've already run them. I just have to get the glove box in here to see how that's working with those. So I will hook that up right to this connection point, and this one will circle around or up and get to that connection point, and then it's putting some more trim pieces in, essentially. I'll show you what I had to do with the glove box. It would not fit with the Vintage Air where it is in the hoses, so I had this piece fit right there, so I cut that out. Got myself a piece of ABS plastic. I glue that thing to the back side. Totally tell, but it essentially, there's not going to be gaps there, but that's going to look like that. Alright guys, so figured it's time to give you a little update. I'm way behind on videos, so who knows when this is actually going to come out. But I have been driving it and been working through a few things. Some of my solutions or choices may have not been the smartest in figuring it out, but I don't know, I'm okay with it, so I'm going to do a little walkthrough and tell you what happened. So when I went on my initial drive, seemed fine. The only thing I didn't like was when I came to an idle, the car rattled bad, the dash. It's not horrible, but it's definitely not what I want. So I think I might have the transmission, when I had to raise the engine a little bit for the pan, I think the transmission may be touching, or something's touching the body, and so at certain frequencies I get a resonating, so I'm going to need to figure that out. Driving wise, it's totally fine now, but it wasn't as of a week ago. I don't feel bad about this because I have no history on any of the sensors that were on this engine, so things are pretty cheap nowadays, even pretty decent stuff. So I ended up chasing an issue with a bad miss at idle. So I replaced my MAF. That was about 58 bucks. That didn't make any difference. Then I replaced my throttle position sensor. I forget how much. That was about 53 bucks. No difference. I replaced my idler control valve. That was $81. No difference. Again, they're all brand new now, so I don't have 120-some thousand mile parts on the engine. But none of those made any difference. I ordered other parts. I think I have a crank sensor for 50 bucks, and that's really the more difficult one to do. Did a lot of reading. People talked about vacuum leaks. Right now I don't have my EGR hooked up. I got a new one of those. That's very cheap, like $3. But I basically took that system out. I just need to re-hook that up, but that made no difference. So it was frustrating because I was sitting around and the car would idle fine for a long time. I could drive it to work one way, which is probably 15 or 20 miles. Totally fine. Started up to go home. Missing. So I finally ended up doing a lot of research. Somebody mentioned a coil pack harness, which is this little guy here. I've already taken it off. That's why you can see it now. Usually it's buried under there. And I started twisting this back and forth, and guess what? I can make it happen. And the coil pack harness was the issue. So I have from Summit, actually not from Summit, these are the wrong plug, so I got these off Amazon. Probably would have worked, except for they're wrong. So I got these off of Summit. I got two, why not? They're pretty easy to change, and if one's going bad, chances are the other is going to go bad. I think these are 58 bucks a piece. I probably could have got them cheaper off eBay. I wanted them quicker, and Summit, decent stuff. So that's going to solve that problem. That's been the most frustrating thing that I've dealt with, is that I just couldn't get it figured out. Again, didn't have to order all these parts I did, turns out, but they're new, so they're not going to go bad for a while, and I think, I could add it up, but I think in total I spent maybe $350 on all those parts. $350 in the process of a car project. I'm not going to break the bank. Inside, did a few improvements. I no longer using the airbag wheel. Got myself a Nardi wheel. Pretty decent match to the wood, but it's a nice wheel. I'm going to touch up a few areas here, but got it off eBay. The gauges work nicely. That, lights, brights. Again, kind of forget what I've mentioned in other videos because it's been so long, but got those markers off of Amazon. I got my vintage air setup in here. Pretty happy with this thing. When you're driving, it's not especially loud in any way. Backlight dials are pretty nice. The heater works great. I mean, I don't even keep it nearly close to high when I'm driving it. This is just a plate I made. That's some aluminum. Fits in there. Right now I'm using a tablet just to give me some sort of entertainment. Not that one. Yeah, I'll show you later. I'm using a tablet right there. I use it with my Bluetooth speaker, and for YouTube or music or whatever, totally fine. Plenty of room, obviously, for double din, and I'm debating just getting like a single din and running a tablet in front because, you know, when I hotspot into my phone, the tablet allows me to do whatever I want and would run the music through the Bluetooth. I guess there's double dins that do that too. I don't know whether they will let you watch YouTube while you're driving. I don't recommend that, but hey, it's been on before. A little cleaning of the carpet. One thing right now, you can see the temp gauge is reading 140 degrees, and yet the car is cold. So that reads very high. It's the only gauge that doesn't work. Well, it can't be trusted at all. It is a grounding issue likely, so I got to figure out a way to do that. I did some reading on it. All the other gauges work. The fuel gauge, the highest it will ever read right now is 3/4, and right now it's reading like empty, but pretty sure I have about 5 gallons left in there, so I need to mess around with the float level to get that right. Guess I can start it up. I'll show you what I mean by the vibrating. If it's not in gear, you don't get it. If it's in gear, idling, you do. So I haven't started this thing overnight. I mean, starts like a new car. Idle will come down because it's just cold idle. It's up there for first few seconds. So that's me sitting in the car. One other thing is the linkage isn't smooth coming out of park, which is annoying. So basically you have to go too far and then you go up into reverse. So right there, that's at idle, and this idle, which is that tax within 100 of being completely accurate based on the HP tuners, I'd be okay with this. I'm not getting any crazy vibrations, and it seems okay. But when it warms up and your idle drops down about 200 RPM, you get rattles you don't want. It rattles the door trim weirdly sometimes while you're driving. It's enough to rattle the steering wheel. Like, you get different vibrations through it, so it's kind of frustrating because I'm sitting here, I can feel it vibrating like through the seat. Yet I'd probably be okay with that if that's all it was, but it's not all it is. So I will rectify that. Now it's not going to idle down for a little bit, so that's fine. But yeah, it sits here like a real car. The odometer is accurate. I used HP tuners and an adjustment. You can actually tune that one. I just use HP tuners to do it, and the pulses per mile. Super easy to check speedometers nowadays with an app on your phone that you can get using GPS, so the speedometer is dead on, which is nice. And yeah.